Hi guys, my name is Randy Younger and I am a producer, and I wanted to start recording some videos to help people out on a little bit of things that I know I surely could have used a lot of help on as I've been coming up over the years. And of course you have to figure out a lot of this on your own, but a lot of it can be taught to you by other folks. EQ, especially on vocals, has been a real pet issue for me for my entire career. I'm very keen on making sure that vocals are clear, heard, enunciated, but as much as all of those things, that it is pleasing to listen to. And you can have the greatest singer in the world, the greatest vocalist in the world. You can have the greatest microphone in the world. But if you don't spend time really crafting the EQ on that vocal and the effects on that vocal around that person's vocal tonality and the specific frequencies and things that happen in their voice, you're going to really get a subpar EQ. The issue that I find a lot of times, even with super high-end mics, is that there is so much detail in a lot of vocalists' vocal quality that sometimes there's too much of a good thing. And so there are certain frequencies that create whistles and chirps and really sort of annoying things that make the vocal less pleasant to hear or make somebody wince or something like that. And they don't know what it is. It's hard to perceive it, but it is indeed there. So what I'm going to talk today about is using automation in EQ to affect surgery on trouble spots in terms of vocal EQ. So here I have a female vocalist who has an amazing voice, and the issue with her is she has so much detail and so many unique frequencies happening, but a lot of times when she really digs in, some of those frequencies become sort of piercing. But I want to hear those details and frequencies in her vocal when they're not piercing. And so I don't want to create a surgery or surgical EQ that's going to take place all of the time, because I'll lose that detail when I want it. I just want to get rid of it when I want to get rid of it. And I have never found a plugin, and if there is one, please leave it in the comments, because I've never found a plugin that can actually go in and do surgery on a vocal in such a way that it leaves all the good stuff and momentarily gets rid of the nasty stuff. Now, I've used multi-band compressors, but a compressor is what it is. It's an automated thing, and there are times when you don't want it to do what it's going to do. So what I've been really playing with in the past, who knows how long, is automating EQ on trouble spots. Now here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to play this little vocal clip for you, this one little section. Let's take a quick look at it. Okay, let me hide this thing. Let's pull this thing out of the way. There's the mixer. Let me look at the tracks. I'm just going to play this one little section. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass my EQ curve on this vocal. Okay?
Why should I take your help?
Okay, so that sounds somewhat boxy and not great just on its own. And I might be able to use an SSL or a Neve EQ to do the main shaping, but for right now I'll just do the main shaping with this. I'm going to go ahead and unbypass it. Now watch the EQ as this thing goes.
Why should I take your help when I can just turn to myself? Why do you think I need?
Okay, so you can definitely tell a difference, and you probably saw that there was a lot going on, but only at certain times. During those times, those are problem areas. Let's listen again.
Why
Bypass.
should I take your help when I can just turn to myself? Why do you think I need
Now it's in and working.
someone to watch over me? Oh.
Okay, so here's what happened. If I go back and I look at that vocal, okay. So what we have here, we have all of the EQs. Each one of these represents a different EQ band. And as we go, and I'll shrink this way, you'll see what's happening with that vocal. Okay, so what's happening here, and I'm going to go to a later spot, and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right. And
From battles that can't be won. From
let me go find a spot that I see as a treble spot. Usually it's going to be on vowels, like
no matter how far I run.
all right, let's go in here. I bet you this next phrase.
Far
Okay. Now, I hear a high frequency annoyance in there. You might not hear it yet, but I'm going to show you where it is. Okay? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that automation is turned off on that track. Okay, the automation is turned off on that track. This is her. Get rid of that. Okay, this is her track. All right. Okay, right there. I hear a high-pitched Hear that ring? Let me gain it up even more. That ring is going to bug me to death. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I love FabFilter's EQs because they are great at surgery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go set that gain to 0 for now. This is my selected EQ. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to enable automation. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play that section and pull this EQ down for a second. That was a heavy, heavy duty cut, but it was super narrow. Okay? Actually, it should have been more narrow. Turn that off and see if I can change the Q. Okay. Well, Q got pulled into that and automated with it. And you can use that. I'm not using it right now. I'm not automating the Q. I'm really just automating the gain on that one frequency. I did a sweep to find the annoying frequency. And then once I found that ringy, nasty frequency, I did an automation of gain. Now, if I go to the lane on that guy, okay, and now we can see my rough kind of automation was really, really brutal and rough. But what I can do here is clean this up. Okay. Now let's look at what that looks like. That was still way, way heavier than it needed to be. but I might want to do about a 10 dB cut right there. Now, if you look at what happens in the spectrum, that thing was originally peaking, and now it's controlled. Now, you'll notice I have another one here. So let's go look at that. I think that's kind of nasty too. I'm going to come back here and go to my mixer on that guy. Make sure automation is off. And I already think I have a band there. I think I do. There it is. Oh, go back to here. That whistle is so subtle, but it is going to eat my lunch. I cannot abide it because she's got such a beautiful voice, but I don't want to hurt the listener's ear, okay? So I'm going to turn automation on. Come in. I've got that target frequency selected. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into my sequence editor. Okay. So that's the light blue one in the background. Let's just do the same cut for the same amount of time. Okay. So these are my automation curves. Okay. And that's what allows me to go in and operate on this individually. Okay. Now I'm going to come here, turn automation off. Let's look in the equalizer. Let's bypass this. Of course, I have that box cut out right there. And I know it's subtle, but listen to the difference. It's super smooth. And smoothness is what I'm looking for. So here, let me just break it back down again for you. I want to go in. I want to identify the offending frequencies. And I don't want to cut them for the entire song. I don't want, and this takes, look, it can take hours and hours and hours on a single vocal. But the same thing happens when I'm tuning a vocal. I take care to not lose the vocal character of the vocal when I'm tuning. So this is like tuning. It takes that kind of time. It might take me 20 hours to EQ a vocal, and that may seem ridiculous to you, but that's what it is. It's going to take that amount of time to perfect that vocal and clarify it and not kill it. And EQ can be a hammer, and everything looks like a nail with EQ, and you know, when you have these offensive frequencies. And I used to find myself cutting everything offensive for the entire song, and then I would end up with a somewhat lackluster vocal because I wouldn't get the airiness when I wasn't on that particular fundamental frequency, and that harmonic was beautiful on a different fundamental when it was annoying when it was a harmonic of the main fundamental. And so I had to go in and say, no, this is a time-dependent phenomenon. And that really helped me clarify these vocals. And I hope you can really hear the difference here. I'll do it one more time. Bypassed. Now I'll go back and go earlier in the vocal. Just kind of let you hear some of the differences here on what I have up to this point. Okay.
Why should I take your help when I can just turn to myself?
Now, this EQ, by the way, is my surgery EQ. Later, if I want to do a shaping EQ, I can deal with that in line, you know, after this EQ to kind of gain the overall, say, you know, 5 to 8K range, bring it up, give it a little bit more air, 5 to 10K range.
Why should I?
Okay, listen to the bypassed.
Why should I take your help when I can just turn to myself?
Now, unbypassed.
Why should I take your help when I can just turn to myself? Why do you think I need someone to watch over me?
And so there you have it. That is automated surgical EQ. Thank you.